Okay, so let's talk about upward communication. And something to consider in regards to upward communication is that this is a leadership responsibility. And oftentimes a leader will say, yes, I want to hear from my employees. Yes, I want to hear from the people on the front line. Come talk to me. But they don't actually step out and seek out that information themselves. There are two ways that they often attempt to do that, to seek out information, and that is by saying, I have an open door policy, come talk to me, or place your thoughts in a suggestion box. These are just two common things that you've probably heard before. Both of them are excellent practices to have. However, if they're done alone with no other communication efforts, then they can be seen as a passive attempt at upward communication. And a leader who says, I have an open door, come visit with me, has the right intention, but they're placing a lot of responsibility on that employee to take the initiative to come talk to them. And oftentimes employees, will not readily do that. The suggestion box is also a great idea. It's anonymous. Employees can write their thoughts down, drop them in a box, send them to a virtual box, however that is set up. But again, that's placing the responsibility on the employee to actually take the initiative to do that. And some will and some won't. And it works really well, though, if the leader steps in and actually addresses the issues that are put in the box. And the leader stepping in to do that is actually an example of communication-based responsibilities. And this is what works from a leadership position. A leader models communicative behavior, and they can do so in a number of ways. One is managing by walking around. And you've probably heard this term before, where leaders actually get up and leave their office and go out and walk the floor. They walk through offices. They stop in on employees, not because there's a problem or an issue, but just to say hello. How's it going? Everything going okay? How's your daughter? So they connect. And this often kind of some leaders often kind of see this as just one more thing they have to do. Other leaders really do embrace this and have seen a huge difference in how it works. And it creates this managerial openness, the perception that leaders will listen. If a leader is coming out to talk to people, especially when there's not a problem, just to come see how things are going, then that creates the perception that this person is willing to listen. And if that leader in conjunction says, I have an open door, come talk to me, those employees are more likely to come talk to that leader. I put another example here that I don't think is mentioned in the book, and that is town hall meetings. And I've worked with leaders in the past who have held quarterly meetings and just invited everyone. They've taken questions prior to the meeting, and they just update people on everything from finances to what's happening in the business. They answer their questions, all of these things, but they get everyone together, and it's a face-to-face kind of casual setting, and the leader can talk to everyone. And I'll give you an example. I worked with DHS last summer, the Department of Human Services, and I specifically worked in the Division of Human Development Centers, and I was a consultant for them. And the Human Development Centers, we have 5 of those in the state, and I had no idea that they existed, unfortunately, until I started working with this group. But they are a place for mentally challenged and physically challenged Arkansans to live. And they have jobs that are either on site or in the local communities. They receive rehabilitation. They have classes that they take. It's a wonderful facility. They live in dorms, and they're learning. Some of them actually end up leaving and going back out into the community and living on their own. But it's just a fantastic part of DHS. But they were having some issues with retention. And you can imagine that's a hard job to have as a caregiver in this type of setting, but they were having problems with retention. And so I worked with all 5 of the HDCs. And one of the things that I noticed was that, and this is common, there's a lot of levels of leadership. And we kind of talked about that with regards to like the top-down communication. And so the frontline employees that were dealing with their clients on a daily basis were just maxed out. They were just stressed out. And they kept getting a lot of messages coming from the top all the way down. So we talked about some ways that the leader could create this environment of more upward communication that through that communication helps to alleviate some stress. So they implemented a lot of these communication-based responsibilities. They got up and walked through all the units. They did a job swap where someone where they took someone's position and that person was able to come up and sit in the leader's office and work with the assistant directors. They had some direct care patient people go work in the kitchen, so they kind of mixed everybody up for a shift. And one of the directors of one of these HDCs actually went and did the overnight shift, and that opened up so many doors of communication just by doing that. And then they also implemented the town hall meetings, or some of them call them fireside chats. It just kind of depends on what they wanted to call them. And in one situation that I recall, one of the directors said that her cleaning people, her cleaning staff, were always complaining about never having the right chemicals, never having enough, not getting things cleaned. And so they put out an idea to solve that problem. And during one of the town hall meetings, they brought it up and they talked about it, some different supplies they could use. The leader listened, they got what they needed, and they were much happier. But it took opening up that communication to make that happen. So top-down communication definitely has a place. I think you've got to have that strong leader role that gives those messages. But that same leader also has to create an environment where people can give feedback and people can engage in that upward communication, because that's ultimately what leads to the trust and the engaged employee and retention. And that's what everybody wants. They don't want to have to keep rehiring for people. So opening those communication channels really helped a lot towards retention in the DHS example. But upward communication does take courage. And when I've talked with leaders before who really value that kind of top-down, all the things that are mentioned in your book I've heard before. A fear of giving power to other people. They can't handle it. They can't do it. They're going to come to me with things that they just want for themselves and not for the organization. What if I can't help them? What if I can't solve their problem? And this is what one of the HDC leaders said is, what if I get something I can't solve? And I said, oftentimes it's just the fact that they can share the information. And it's just the fact that you will listen. And if you can't fix it, you will be able to tell them why. And maybe you could find something that they're looking for that can be fixed. But you engage in dialogue, and that's what really matters. Oftentimes people are okay if their problem can't be addressed immediately, if they know the reasoning behind it and if they have that relationship. I've also heard from leaders that they're just going to tell me negative things, and that's going to make me upset, and then I'm probably going to feel like I'm being attacked because I'm not a good leader. That's a legitimate fear. When organizations shift from this top-down to more upward, more across channels communication, in the beginning, there will probably be a lot of complaints. And I know with the DHS Human Development Centers, there were a lot of complaints on the front end. But the more that communication was opened up and information was being shared, then they found that those examples and those comments actually became more constructive. So a leader does have to take a risk to create that environment of upward communication and openness. But I think if they can find the nice balance, they'll find that it really helps their employees with their employee satisfaction. Okay, so take a look at this in your textbook. Take a look. There's some great case studies. You can pick the one that you want to focus on, respond to the questions, and then also be thinking about how this applies to your own personal example that you've been writing about.